COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations continue to rise in the state of New Jersey. Several illegal pop-up bars have also been on the rise. Just last Friday, 2 bars in the city of Paterson were fined for operating after hours.
Yeah, now here to give us an update on the community and how it's doing there is Andre Sayegh. Good morning, Mayor. Thanks for being with us. Good to see you again. I know I spoke with you right before the Thanksgiving holiday, but this is a problem. You kind of alluded to it then. Now we're really deep into this. These speakeasies or these late night bars are popping up in your city. How much of a spreader is this becoming?
Yeah, I would consider them super spreaders because people are not taking precautions when they're in these establishments, these illegal establishments. And we observed this couple of weeks ago, and so we put a special operation together. We not only closed 2 on Friday, but there were 2 more on Saturday night going into Sunday night that we had to close. And yeah, speakeasies, that would be the operative term because it does harken back to the Prohibition era because we are prohibiting congregant activities. And when people are in these underground establishments, these illegal bars, they're not practicing any social distancing or wearing masks.
Yeah, and, you know, I used to do a series called Hidden New York about all the hidden spots, and there are plenty of them to go and kind of evade. That's the whole idea, right? So besides shutting down the business, are there penalties for those who are in attendance who go to those places as well for operating illegally?
Unfortunately, there isn't anything that we could do to penalize these individuals, but we can penalize the owners of these establishments. And quite frankly, they're just using about any facility they can, whether it's a basement or it's just a storefront that has been empty for quite some time. They're getting in somehow. Someone's giving them a key.
When could you find someone individually if they were having a large gathering, say, in their own apartment?
Yeah, quite frankly, I mean, the governor's made that clear, right? Because you can't have more than 10 people indoors. And that's something that we can enforce as far as the executive order is concerned.
All right, so you're having a problem with that issue. You're also having a problem with contact tracing because people simply, as you say, not only lying, but they're not cooperating. Governor Murphy saying the non-cooperation rate is 74%. That is enormous. So how are you trying to get a handle on this, and how can you?
Yeah, so what we're finding is that the younger the individuals are that have been infected, the less likely they are to cooperate because they don't want to tell on themselves or their friends. So what we try to emphasize, our contact tracers who are phenomenal, they've gained national recognition. What we try to explain to people is that if you don't help us, this thing will spread and people are still dying. And you don't want to see people close to you dying or people close to the people you've come into contact die as well. So unfortunately, we have to resort to using fear tactics.
Yeah, but is it working? I mean, you were the gold standard for contact tracing, people following your model, and then you hear the numbers of saying, oh my gosh, people aren't answering the phones. And along with contact tracing, what we've seen not only in Paterson but around the country are these long lines for testing, right? So you tell people, all right, if you were in a large gathering, you don't want to contact trace, then go get tested. But then you go get tested and you're in this hours-long wait of a line. What's the solution?
Fortunately for Paterson, people are cooperating. It's just we're finding that younger individuals are less likely. And we've really ramped up testing. We have a mobile unit that is in every ward every day. So we're testing like we haven't before. And like I stated earlier, the contact tracing is a little bit more difficult this time because, like I stated, they're younger now, the people getting infected. But it doesn't mean we're not doing the work. We are, because we tell them this is to suppress the spread. Just cooperate with us.
But what about crime? Because we understand that is also up in your city. So you've got a multitude of issues going on here.
We're fighting the virus and violence. Quite frankly, this has created desperation. It's disrupted the drug market. And other cities like Paterson are seeing a spike in violence.
And I do want to talk, so we're seeing the spike in violence. Obviously, you're trying to get a handle on that. You're trying to get a handle on coronavirus at the same time. But on the brighter side, because we do want to also highlight some good, we see that former Giants player Victor Cruz donated laptops to students in Paterson, right? Are there any other efforts to help students because they're at home, they're remote learning during this crucial time? What are you doing?
Yes. So last week we announced that we were taking about 70% of our second allocation of CARES Act money and earmarking it for the schools. So what we're doing is we're taking about $3.8 million. We're going to purchase 400 Promethean boards, smart boards for teachers to do hybrid learning. We're going to purchase 600 Chromebooks for students to do distance learning. We are going to equip 60 schools with thermal cameras, and 3 are going to be set aside for the Board of Education's central district, the central district office. And then we're also purchasing PPE. We're going to purchase masks for students. We're going to get foggers and disinfectants to make sure the schools are safe when they finally reopen. But we want to do it the right way at the right time. So we've invested $3.8 million in our reopening schools plan because they've been closed since March 16th.
Is there a timeline for when they will be open?
When's that going to happen?
All right, so as it stands now, and it's a fluid situation, they should be open by January 18th. But from what I'm hearing, because the numbers are high, that probably will not happen. Schools
but it's up
will
to
not
you.
reopen by.
It's up to you, right?
No, it's actually up to the superintendent of schools.
Okay. So January 18th is the tentative date, but that's probably going to get pushed.
Subject to change.
Okay.
Understood.
All right. Well, at least we have somewhat of a timeline, and you've got a plan in place for kids to come back to school, because we're seeing in other places where they are going back to school despite the rise in coronavirus cases there. Mayor, thank you so much. I know you got a lot on your hands. We've talked about a lot of topics, but we always appreciate you joining us here on the show.
Pleasure is mine, everyone. Stay safe.
Stay safe to you and happy holidays.